You don't want to stay relaxed, or more accurately, your mind doesn't want you to stay relaxed. And then you have to separate yourself. And I talked about in a previous video about actually being able to separate yourself from your thoughts. And this is really, really important, because once you get your mind involved, particularly before a race, that is likely to tighten you up. Okay, specifically because the mind will always take you to things that are not helping you. You're talking about thinking about that really fast athlete on the outside, or that rival, or the crowd, or worrying about your start, and worrying about the fact you haven't trained properly, or you're not fit enough. And all these things come in, start jabbing at you. And these thoughts are not helpful to you. Okay, these are negative thoughts. We have talked about it actually before, how the power of negative thoughts. You can do strength tests on thinking about a positive thought that makes you, it inspires you, and a negative thought, a stressful thought that makes you angry. And the difference in strength between each is massive. With the actual positive thought, you're really a lot stronger. And with the actual weaker thought, the stressful thoughts, you're weaker. The body doesn't like it. Okay, so this is one of the ways in which we as athletes handicap ourselves before a race, and often don't get the results that we want. It's because we allow these thoughts to come into our brain to tighten us up, disabling our capabilities, disabling our coordination. Everything from strength to coordination to power, everything gets handicapped when you actually allow those thoughts and start believing them as well. So these thoughts come in because of your ego, and everyone has an ego. And you're probably aware of Dr. Steve Peters, especially if you're from the UK. But in the US, Dr. Steve Peters is based an author that worked with British cycling and a load of other athletes, and talked about the chimp paradox, and actually the irrational part of your mind. And essentially, this is the same thing as your ego. And both are there really as a safety mechanism, with basically telling us to be careful, don't do this. But essentially these things like the ego, they're basically telling us not to do, be careful of this, you should be thinking about this, you should be thinking about that person on the outside, the ego is there as a protective mechanism to stop us from doing dangerous stuff. But the problem is it only knows what we've only experienced. So when it comes to racing, the fears will come up, the ego will start screaming at you about the negative things that you should be concentrating on. And this is a problem, because once you allow the ego to get involved inside of you, then you start to believe it, and you cannot allow yourself to believe your ego. The ego is there as a protective mechanism, but it can get things wrong, and it can go over the top. In terms of actually saying don't put your hand on a hot stove, yeah, that's rational. Okay, that's probably, you don't want to get hurt. But in other ways, the ego goes well over the top to say, don't do this. You're going to hurt yourself, or you're going to embarrass yourself. And the problem is you have to put yourself out into the danger zone in racing to get better. You have to go out there. So it will start screaming at you. This is not something that you need. And so this is areas where you have to watch the ego and actually not listen to it. And that's why I say you don't want to be relaxed, or your mind doesn't want you to be relaxed, because it wants to keep you where you are. It doesn't want you to grow. Your ego doesn't want you to grow and get better, because it's afraid of it, because it's going into the unknown territory. And so when you see these negative thoughts come up before mind, this is a time to take a breath. And I want you to remind you how easy it is to change your performance. If you were to just now, you can do it on the spot right now, do high knees. Get up, if you're sitting, put your phone down, do high knees for about 5 seconds. Nice and powerful, move the arms and stuff like that. Now stop. Now let's take a breath, okay? In through your nose and out through your mouth, nice and slow. So make sure everything goes into your belly, very little in your chest. Let's do it now. So making sure the inhalation is slow, and make sure the exhalation is extra slow, and make sure you get those shoulders to relax. Now go and do your high knees again. Did you feel a difference? Did you feel how easier it was to do the movement? And that's what you can bring to your sprinting. And can you, on the other flip side of the coin, can you see how you're handicapping yourself as well? That you can do so much training, you can do the fitness work, but if we allow those thoughts to get inside, and we're not centered, and we're not looking at the ego, then this can disable our performance. It happens all the time with athletes, thinking the fitness, I've got all the fitness, I've trained hard, and then they don't perform in the race. It's because of the ego getting involved and telling you, be wary of all these things. You should be worried about these things. You should be worried about your start. You should be worried about that athlete. You should be worried, basically. And the nerves get involved. So the breath is there to bring us back to ourselves, to actually get, not only physically make us stronger, because the breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, makes our hips stronger and looser, but also relax us, center us, and to get us away from our ego. And that's why I go on about breathing as a simple tool that you can use to make sure that you get the benefits of all the fitness and perform well inside on the track. It's just a simple thing you could do. And you can imagine, that was just one breath that we just did, and the difference it made. So to be wary of the ego, that's why I say, again, why your mind doesn't want you to be relaxed. And you've got to look at that. Mind doesn't want you to relax. You do. And you need to separate yourself from those thoughts, from your ego, and go stay focused on the here and now and go out and perform. And once you do that, you're sure to see the difference. You're supposed to feel the difference inside the race as well. So hopefully that video gives you an understanding of why you don't want to, why it's so difficult sometimes to get the ego, because your mind will tell you, you should not be focusing on your breath. You should be worrying about these things. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't be worrying about these things. You shouldn't be worrying about any external factors. You should get inside your body, get inside your breath, get out of your mind, and you'll perform. If you found this video helpful, please like, please share, and please share it to your running colleagues if they find a benefit of it. And thanks for watching. See you in the next video.